There's a reason real estate is still the number one thing that makes people wealthy and rich, especially long term. And I want to discuss it a little bit today in the video. Maybe for somebody who's newer to real estate and real estate investments, or maybe somebody who's not just looking at it the right way. Because when you look at real estate and how easy it is to get into it, to start owning it, and what it opens up the doors for, I think once you really take a serious look at it and then create a plan of action to start acquiring it and moving in the real estate world, things start changing very quickly. As of late, you've seen a huge surge in people wholesaling, creative financing, and that kind of stuff, which shows you the flexibility and access that real estate gives even to the average person. I can wholesale a deal and assign and make 10, 15, 20 grand, which will then already give me money in a lot of markets to be able to purchase my first piece of property. Like that, right? You look at when I moved to Miami. When I moved to Miami, I bought a $400,000 home, 5% down. That's $20,000. Even if you don't make that much money, shoot me straight here. Let's say you make 60, 70K a year. If you were smart, didn't overextend yourself with car payments, you live frugally, and you saved $500 a month or whatever it was, or, $1,000 a month, 800, right? You name your number. Within a year or two, you could have the money to have that down payment to buy that property. And my payment was like, including taxes and insurance back then, was like $2,100, $2,000. Let's say now at the higher interest rate, it's $2,500, $2,600. That's cheaper than rent in a lot of places for a house, which then 2 years later, through appreciation, I sold for almost $120,000 profit. Right now, I'm working with a developer. One of the projects we're working on is in Georgia, which, by the way, if you're interested, I'll put a link in the description. We're selling condos for under $70,000 that immediately give you cash flow. And if you buy into one of the projects that's still under development, because this developer has multiple, right? We have ones that are ready to go. You'll have title and we rent them out. And by the way, you have the option here. We run it like a hotel, this particular project. It's a condo hotel. We operate it, we do the management, we collect the fees. Now you can do it yourself. Or you can go with a developer who's been doing this for 20 years and you just collect your money. And most people are averaging right now 11 to 12% on their investment. Meaning you would cash flow. If you bought that property, you'd be cash flowing $500, $600, $700 a month on average, if not more. Meaning cash flow, it's paying you. And he even offers in-house financing or outside financing. So you could buy the property not even having all that kind of money. When you start getting into real estate investments too, people don't realize you also get access to capital, and you step into the world of finance. And when you start creating an LLC in your businesses and you start getting access to capital and funding and you start making payments and building up, it's no different than building up your credit score. Now you get access to more capital and more capital. Then you build equity. You can take out a line of credit. You can get access to more money. And before you know it, you can have access to 500K lines of credit, 1 million, 2 million. I mean, that game isn't complicated, guys. And that just keeps scaling up infinitely. Then you can start doing joint ventures with people and put your money together. I mean, again, the sky's the limit. And that's not even the limit, right? But you got to do it. I remember when I first got into investments, I ended up buying, I bought a deal where I was going door to door in Southern California. I knocked on the door. We ended up buying it off market, a duplex. The owner that I knocked on was living in one of the units. I did a JV, a joint venture with one of the guys in my office. I didn't have that much money saved up then, but we put our heads together and we split the profit on that rental every month to this day. I then saved up money and I bought at the tax deed auctions in Texas, which is another investment strategy that you can use. I bought my first property for $7,200. $7,200. I bought a property. Only me and one other person bid. You can look up on how to buy tax deed auction properties. It's a monthly thing. Every state, they have the redemption period, all the little rules that you can look into later, right? $7,200. And when I got that property appraised, it was worth like, I think 75 or 80 grand. So I bought that property for pennies on the dollar. I rent that property out to this day for $1,000 a month. Isn't that interesting? So I've gone over some types of investment strategies, but the thing is you got to do it. And again, there's very little barrier to entry. Oh, Bryan, I don't have the money. Then save up the money and do what you got to do. Get a second job, live frugally for a while. But once I got that first property for 7,200, oh my God, it motivated me so much more to start doing it. I ended up buying 4 properties at that tax deed auction in Texas within a year and a half. Because some months I would send the bidder and I'd have my limits on what I was going to bid, and I wouldn't win because somebody would outbid me or it would go past the price that I was willing to pay. But I sent him for months and months and months, and I ended up buying 4 that still to this day I rent out and they pay. Like right now, those 4 properties pay for where I live right now in Miami with a little extra left on top. So I live for free. I own more. I own 2 properties that I rent out here in Florida. I own the 4 in Texas, and I own the 1 in California still, the duplex that I split with my partner. The other property, the principal residence that I was in here, I sold. And again, it wasn't like I threw these ridiculous amounts of money down. I sold one of my cars, right? When the COVID thing hit, I bought a boat slip cash for $90K. I bought it cash, flipped it a year later for $155. But I was in the game. That's how I was able to make these moves and these profits. Because I bought that boat slip. I was going to buy a boat and rent it out. Decided not to do it. I flipped it. I made 60 grand in a year. Just owning the property and then reselling it. Are you going to do that every time? No. But it's the easiest way to get wealthy and get access to that type of money. And there's a lot of people who start working a regular 9-to-5 who are just frugal, smart, saved up money for a year, 2 years, 3 years, got their first piece of property and boom. So the condos that I told you about, bciacapital.com, it's in the description. Check them out. Where else can you get property for under 6 figures right now? And we've been selling them pretty well, even in this bad economy. And some people are buying 4, 5, 10, 20, because we sell them to big investors too. But that could be your ticket to get in. And once you get that first payment and cash flow and you own property, which by the way, what's the other thing with real estate? The appreciation. I've sold people's houses who bought a home for $50K 20, 30 years ago, and now it's worth 500 or 800 or $1 million. They just became almost a liquid millionaire with one asset that they bought 20 or 30 years ago. It's crazy. I'm not even counting the appreciation in all the properties that I own. It's just there for a rainy day. Or if I need another line of credit to buy something else, because then I can leverage my money. And then I can take that money out. Yeah, I have a payment on it, but if I buy another investment property that pays me 4 or 5K a month, and my payment on this line of credit that I got out was $1,000, who cares? I'm still profiting. This game isn't that complicated, but real estate's, it's one of those things that if you learn it, and this is something I do with my community, and I teach them, a lot of the agents and salespeople that come to me, I later turn them into investors. Because everyone's just trying to make money, but we got to start thinking beyond just making money. It's not about surviving. You want financial freedom. You want wealth, long-term wealth, buying and holding, getting rental income coming in, making $4,000 or $5,000, $10,000 a month every month, no matter whether you work or not. That's the freedom that people are looking for. I wish I could have talked my parents into this, but they never listened. Real estate is the way to go. I'm here to help. If you have any questions, check out BCIA Capital. You have so many free resources, books, videos online, but get into the game. It's not that difficult, right? I've only talked about a few things in this video. I may do other ones specifically analyzing deals and elaborating more, but you guys got to step foot into the world of real estate and own it. Many of you who follow me are in sales, entrepreneurs, real estate agents. You got to eventually buy your first property. It's amazing. The fact that I came here and bought a property for 20 grand when I moved to Miami, and then 2 years later I sold it and made 120 grand. It's a trip. That wasn't all profit, but you get the point. Had I rented, would I have seen any of that money? No, of course not. And I reinvested that back into my business, into the expansions and everything that we're doing now. Bought more real estate, this and that, but you got to get in the game. Real estate's always going to be one of those things that it's a very low barrier to entry to becoming wealthy and just becoming that first person in your bloodline that becomes extremely wealthy or gets in the game. Because that's the point of this video. Get in the game. Even I was hesitant, but once I got my first one, I realized, oh my God, it's so much easier than I thought. Then it'll really motivate you to be disciplined about your numbers and track how much money you're making and saving up, knowing that discipline that you're going to have is going to lead to long-term gain, wealth, and comfort, which is what people want. More than anything, people want security right now. Owning real estate will give you that security. to keep a roof over your head, make money, and live your life, which is what you want. All right. Anything else that I can do, let me know. See you guys.